What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Web3 DJs, the home of the fastest 30 minutes of NFTs and crypto on the entire blockchain. We've got an awesome guest lined up for you guys today. This gentleman introduced the word clean into the NFT vernacular. On top of that, he's the director of strategic operations for Love World NFT. This man is a legend in the space. We're glad to have him on today. Introducing to you all none other than Yap Museum. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on. And so, what we really like to do to kind of get the show rolling is get an understanding of who our guest is. So, obviously, we have your profile, and I'll pull it up here on Twitter. And we've done our due diligence and research on who you are in Web3. But who are you outside of Web3? Where'd you grow up? Where are you coming to us from today? Tell us a little bit about that.
Right on. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. Grew up, sports was my first love, particularly basketball, but then realized I couldn't jump that high. So then jumped right into baseball. I thought I was going to do that for a living, but injury sort of sidetracked me. So I graduated from college, went to be in investment banking for a year, and then
Wow.
a family business needed me, so I went back and sort of worked my way from the bottom up. Did that for the past 15 years. Started a secondary company and was running both companies for about 5 to 10 years, and then but also had a passion for early, innovation and technology. Got into Bitcoin when I was about 20. My brother-in-law actually introduced to me. He was mining for it when it was 25 cents.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah, been in the game for a while. Big believer in the underlying technology, a lot of the use cases, and just I semi-retired. We sold our primary business about 6 months ago, and
Congratulations.
thank you. So I took the jump full time into Web3. I've been into Ethereum since it was bought it for under $1,
Oh my
and
goodness.
have went all in a few times. But just a big believer in the underlying technology, the space, and the people. So that's a little bit about myself.
Yeah,
So
that's
how was
outstanding.
that?
Hold
I
on,
was, I was
Hofstra.
just,
Let me tell you, Hofstra is like chomping at the bit now. When he hears about somebody who has their own business, because that's the same as him, man, he goes wild. This is like right for him. I just got to say one thing, and I'm gonna flip it to you, Hofstra. It's not even a question. Yap Museum. You said you love baseball, you love sports. You're from Baltimore. I got to call it out because I saw it today. The Orioles were like minus 20,000 to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year. And if the season ended today, they'd have that wild card spot. So just had to throw that out there while it was on my mind. Hofstra, what do you got for us?
no, I was gonna say, like, you sell your business and then you go to your buddies and you say, I'm doing NFTs and crypto full time. What was the response by the people in your circle?
I've always been like sort of the crazy one of many circles. Always been like a pretty big risk taker. I've been a degenerate gambler for almost 30 years now. So when something new and exciting, they sort of know that like, I'm gonna sort of jump in head first. So it, you know, I think a lot of the underlying like stuff is crazy to people, but it's not crazy for my friends that I'm involved in it.
No, right on. So you were talking about how you like the underlying technology. Are you talking about just crypto in general or Ethereum? And if Ethereum, what about that do you like more than other crypto?
So I lost almost everything in the global financial crisis of 2008. I basically bought a bunch of bonds in General Motors, and I was actually writing stock options. So if stuff didn't go absolutely crazy, I just made like basically like a fixed income every week. Uh, so when that all occurred, I was on the part time. I was writing articles for a couple of financial websites. I was like really passionate about investing, and then I realized how crooked the government is, and the need for and running my own business. They'd write me a letter being like, "Hey, you know, you owe 20,000 more this year for unemployment insurance," and just seeing all their inefficiencies and realizing that computer code doesn't act like crazy when like during panic, and that's like what most economists agree. When things are good, how to run things, but it's when things are bad, what they disagree. So I lean like Austrian economics, small business, libertarian. So a lot of like the sort of I fit right in. And from an early age, from the onset, I was exposed from my brother-in-law. So I was like a big believer in like the fundamentals of crypto, everything being on chain, fully, auditable. Like, we run like lotteries now and everything says it's going to like education and all this stuff, but it's going to all their pet projects in the end. And I just think so. I didn't I didn't like how they were handling the money. I always thought like that they were helping out their friends and the Cantillon effect was too strong. And I think like the underlying technology and message and ethos of Bitcoin is like an equitable system for everyone, which like falls into my beliefs. And then the past few years, I've really, uh, while I hold Bitcoin, I've been way more leaning towards Ethereum for the eventual use cases. So I'm a big proponent in like how Ethereum works. I think in 5 years, every sporting event ticket will be on Ethereum, every concert ticket. I think it's going to fundamentally change the way we operate, much like the internet did way back in the day. And I think every house is going to be on the blockchain in 10 years. I think the sky's the limit. I think it's going to be the internet, the monies of the internet. I think it's going to, NFTs are going to explode. The current iteration obviously is going to mature a lot, but I'm just super bullish in the space, the technology, and then I really believe the smartest people are flocking here. So
That's beautiful. Fired me up because, of course, like many other people in the space, I've got a big Ethereum bag, whether it's in NFTs or in the currency itself. So I do have to ask you, you can invest in Bitcoin, you can invest in Ethereum, but you don't have to make the jump to NFTs. How did that transition come about? Was it kind of just a smooth transition? You saw these people building decentralized apps on Ethereum and said, you know what, I want to be a part of that as well? Or was there something specific that was like, I've got to get into this? What happened there?
uh, I got lucky as fuck. Um,
Sometimes luck is better than
Hey,
skill,
I'm glad.
right?
I
Very
like the
often.
honesty. I like the
Yeah.
honesty.
so I played poker, like at a decent level, and is something I've been passionate about. Like I said, I was a DGen for many years. I love to play poker and bet horses. But
For sure.
I have this thing where like I listen to people and I try to surround myself with people who are much smarter than me. So a lot of my friends in the poker scene were claiming CryptoPunks. So I effectively claimed five for $100 in gas,
Damn.
uh, something like that. And I sold two of them like pretty early, and I got lucky and minted like a pretty rare one, and I uh, kept two for a pretty long time. I sold one about 2 years ago. And then when the floor was, I think, about 16 Ethereum, I got really lucky and made it a trade to basically sell it and buy 50 Bored Apes. Um,
50.
yeah, I sold them way too early. It was like point 0.2 to like point 0.8 because I know the value of a dollar running a business.
Right.
I was lucky enough to like trade up and keep a couple of them for a long time, and I still own like one of them.
Yeah,
Man,
but
that's
still, at
outstanding.
that time, you're taking a like a 7x, 8x gain right there. You're happy.
Yeah, I mean, in any other walk of life, you say, hey, you make a big convention bet and you put $15,000 or $30,000 down, and then you make 100 grand. Like that's like a year's salary. It's like, hey, if I just click three buttons and made all this money, you know, while I still had the conviction, I just sort of I take profits. It's sort of like the burden of getting burnt, a few times.
For sure. 100%. I'm one of those individuals who's been burnt a few times, maybe even more than that. And so, yeah, I know all about that taking profits opportunity for sure. So, what does your portfolio look like now in terms of NFTs? Well, honestly, NFTs and crypto, like, do you have you diversified your assets across a number of different blockchains like Solana, Tezos, Bitcoin, Ethereum? Are you sticking to mainly the top two that you mentioned earlier? And then, like, what projects are you involved in? What's your strategy there?
So basically, I hold a couple of Bitcoin. I always have. It's sort of like a store of value, store of wealth to me. I think it's digital gold. I think the narrative has been a little lost, but that's probably like 10% of my portfolio. I have about 25% in cash, 25% in Ethereum. I validate. I have a couple of Ethereum nodes. Um,
Nice.
yeah, about 25% in NFTs. I can't sell enough. I bought a lot. Um, I reinvested a lot when I sold the rare Punk and 8. So I have a pretty diversified NFT portfolio. I have about 1% of the Gutter Cat Gang. I have a pretty rare Bored Ape, mutant M2 M1. Uh, Probably about 10 other side lands. Um, I have a whole bag of Yats. They're not doing too well, but domains are slow moving ships. So I give them the benefit of the doubt and a couple more years to build. Because they're going to be on Monero. But then my other big bag is Chainlink. Um, I I recently rebought around 5 or 6, and I think they are, like people say, Ethereum is like oil, Chainlink's like the plumbing, and I think it makes it's like my cross chain sort of bet and cross from the real world to crypto world bet. But I try to keep it simple. I'm 38 years old, and I recently retired, so I took profits along the way. I'm not like YOLOing where I'm like, being like crazy risky. But I think putting, most of your chips in like high conviction bets, which is Ethereum, it's probably, it is 50% of my net worth is in Ethereum. So
It
that's
is.
probably, that's like not like, for everyone, but I just believe so much in the underlying technology. And when I evaluate crypto, I sort of look in like the dilemma that Ethereum's like trying to solve. And well, I think other chains like you mentioned, like Solano, et cetera, are scaling a little bit better. The transaction cost is way cheaper. I think Ethereum in the long run is just going to be the winner. I I I, I trust the Vitalik the most out of anyone. I am getting a little bit more respect for Cardano. While they haven't shipped much, I think their founder has like the right uh, sort of vision to succeed in the long run.
Sure. Yeah.
But basically, my bets are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Chainlink.
Yeah. Can you? I'll be totally honest here. I don't know much about Chainlink at all. Can you just give us maybe like a quick rundown of your thoughts on Chain? This is hopefully this is the right website. I'm assuming it is right. We see a couple other Web3 things on here, but
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about Chainlink. What your thoughts are there?
So Chainlink, like what I said, it's like the plumbing of the blockchain. It's what's called an oracle. So like it's sort of like predictive in scope. Um,
Okay.
the founder, Sergey, I can't say his name, Nazarov. I just really believe like what they're building. Like if you go to look at their like all their job hirings and their applications just on the webpage, I think it's like basically like it connects like how the world runs. Like instead of like if you go to the use cases tab, but like instead of like relying on like a bunch of like people, it's creating a code to run things like efficiently. For example, when the market crashed, I can't remember what month it was, like May or something of last year. Basically, Chainlink like was able to like continuously like feed all the prices and make all the systems work. So
Wow.
like all the protocols. And I'm sorry, I'm not doing like an excellent job right now,
No, I
but
mean, every single thing that you are saying is something I've never heard before. So this is doing an excellent job. Really appreciate it. Yeah, that's great. I'm definitely out, man. I mean, because here's the thing: everybody needs plumbing, right?
yeah. And it's like one of these things where like, it just like continues like the crypto ethos of being fair. So like if you wanted to run a lottery, you can prove that it was done fairly. Right now we hire like Ernst and Young or some like, third party that like you have to trust them to do it. But it like provides like, contracts and, ways to do things like very effectively and honestly and transparently. And that's like what's tying back into like why I originally got into the game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's the whole ethos of Web3, right? Is that kind of nature of transparency, and that sort of thing. So, what would you say, like your role is in the space right now? Obviously, we see that you've got a great following. You're the director of strategic operations for a specific project, but like, how do you define what you are doing in the space right now? And like, yeah, it's pertinence, if you will.
Um, sort of like I don't want to say like good shepherd, but I just sort of want to like lead by example.
Sure.
So just being in the space for a long time, being a believer in like the technology and the people, I just sort of want to like provide a good example for others, help people like with information and, experience that I've learned along the way. I try to just have a good time, with like-minded individuals. And with Love World, I'm like sort of being like a consultant, like using my experience from the real world and crypto and, trying to make like the vision of transparency uh, come to fruition.
So why don't you talk to us about Love World? Like, what exactly is this project? And I saw that they dropped some big news, right? You quoted some big news that happened today.
Yeah, so we're starting our marketing campaign now. We met sometime next month. But basically, we came together and realized there's over 20,000 cryptos and 500 exchanges, and there's probably 17 million NFTs and only 10 exchanges. So we thought that, to mature the space, we need to be more transparent. So we think there's a lot of market share to grab, but we're basically going to be an exchange that focuses more so on art, but is for artists by artist. So we're going to mentor, we're going to incubate, we're going to have a lot of amateur stuff where, like wine and paint nights. We're going to have multiple streams of
Really?
revenue. We're really, I'm really, really bullish. The team is really excellent. Every day we meet for about an hour and work a lot every day on it. And it's really refreshing to like try to mature the space. We're trying to change the paradigm. We have this great technology that everyone believes in, but like who uses the blockchain for transparency? Like you mint a project and they say they're going to do X, but like how do you know those funds are being allocated properly?
Right.
So we're trying to accomplish all of this. We're not trying to be like, looks rare, which like came into all these whales and, tried to like pump their bag so they all used it. We're trying to grow organically and sort of mature the space where like art is $100 billion a year industry, and NFTs were like getting a bunch of that share. But to like make it go forward, we're not going to be trading animal zoo pictures forever. It's going to have to be content that we put on our walls, and art is a something that can unify us all together. And I think the more like the space matures, the more ancillary businesses you need, and we're just trying to provide a little niche for artists to excel. So we're going to charge a little bit money for mentoring because we don't think artists, you may be great at producing art, but do you know how to market? Do you know how to write a smart contract? Do you know the legal, prerequisites that you need? Do you know how to like run a budget? And we're just trying to use our resources to help bring, on board a ton of new artists, improve, a ton of new artists, make sure they're thinking of it like a business, but we're also trying to get more, art on the blockchain where it's like amateur night, where it's like, we all sit around on a Tuesday night, learn how to mint a contract and work on, XYZ platform and, make beautiful art. So we're really excited. We think we have like a really good niche and a really good team, and hopefully the timing is spot on, but we're pretty pumped about it.
Yeah, that's actually bringing up multiple revenue streams. This is something we've talked about quite a bit, so I'd love to hear your take. I think that's the missing piece for a lot of the projects that are out there is they've kind of ran into this roadblock where if you don't have secondary sales and, you know, a lot of them have merch, but outside of that, trying to create a revenue stream seems to be a little bit tricky for a lot of these projects. What's your take on that? Not necessarily with this project, but like if you're advising someone, like how are you going to do that using your business experience? What are you suggesting, or what would your advice be?
Yeah, basically, like running a business, you have to be able to budget and forecast. So you need to like allocate capital properly. You have to know what's successful and what's going to make money, and you have to have a wide enough reach and the ability to execute that vision. So basically, like what we think is like multiple revenue streams, but we're going to drop a light paper that articulates like how we're going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
With the revenue streams. And we think a lot of, like was touched on earlier, about the transparency, like where does our money go in OpenSea?
Yeah.
Like just, with Bored Apes alone, they've made I think they made like $380 million and they laid off 15 employees last year. Like how does one like wrap your head around that?
Right. For sure.
So we just think like, bringing like how to run a profitable business is very important. Teaching people how to budget, teaching people like how to think about business. It's just something I did for 80 hours a week for the last 10 years. So I think it's just the next step, and I've had a lot of high level conversations with CEOs, and like people really believe in NFTs, just not the current iteration is going to be sustainable long term. So we think if we sort of set the mold where it's like we're running this like a business, we think of like the initial mint like a fundraise.
Mm-hmm.
So it just allows like a longer on ramp for us to like develop our platform and have later activations. And it's not just like, hey, buy this $200 hoodie, or we're just going to have a party. We're thinking of this more of
Right.
like a stock. And from a legal perspective, we haven't worked out like how to put the profits back into the holders, but that's
Right.
our plan. We're like taking 100% Web3 ethos. We just want to like do everything the right way. So our legal team's like looking that stuff over, but I just think the sooner that we stop trading like JPEGs like hot potatoes and more serious companies come in, you're going to like hit these like next new cryptos, but they're just going to be under Ethereum umbrella, under NFTs. So like you think of it more like stock certificates, but in like a Web3 manner all the way.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my next questions. Is like, okay, if you are thinking about this as a stock, where are the profits going? Right? Are your holders going to get some dividends? Are they going to be reinvested into growth? A combination of the two. And so it is beautiful that you're thinking about that already.
Yeah, we just like full transparency. When we make a mentor incubation, some of it will go to the community wallet. I think 25%. You need to pay the mentorees, but then, what percentage can go back to each holder? So we think that it's been sort of a bear market for one out of one art, but if you can catch a lot of these, like if you put your fishing net large enough and you catch the next ferocious or whatever, and then your holders are getting, 0.005 of each of his sales, and then all of a sudden, you realize like they sell like $100 million, and then all of a sudden you just got $10,000. And we also believe that like having large community wallets where it's not like fractionalized, which is security, but like imagine if you like how they did the Constitution, where you owned like a piece of all this beautiful art that was very prestigious, and you could display it in your home, but it was just in the community wallet, but you still had that ownership.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I think. Oh, go ahead, Hofstra.
No, I was gonna say we like to do a piece. I was gonna segue away because some of the stuff that you're talking about is, where the space should go or needs to go, and liking to help people out. So we do a spot on here called Beefing on the Blockchain,
Okay,
where
Hofstra.
we call out either some bullshit or some stuff that you've seen that you just want to make a little bit vocal, or maybe a player in the space that whatever it is. But wanted to hear what your take is on what sort of beef you got with either NFTs, crypto, or stuff that you're seeing in the space.
I mean, obviously a bunch comes to mind.
Of
But
course. Lay it all down for us. This is where the show gets juicy right here. This is what the people really listen for. We like to think they enjoy Hofstra and I's commentary and that sort of thing, but this is really what the people want to hear.
I think people are a little too soft in the space right now. They take any like critique rather than being like constructive. They just take it personal. So I think if people just like were open to like being a little bit less soft, we've had it so good for the last 2 years. You've been sitting at home and we're flipping pictures of animals and digital currencies, and you should have like 10 to 50x'd. While I am empathetic for those that have lost, but just people complaining about stupid shit and, not being able to take critique appropriately. And the only other last thing is like a lot of like selfishness behavior. You see these like, super influencers just doing stuff where, they already have so much money and following, and you feel like they're not like using, their like social collateral and leveraging it appropriately. They're just trying to get a quick buck. So like those scumbags are sort of like, go fuck yourself. But I think in the long run, like the sort of the not downturn, but sort of like as the market's cooled, I think more people who are building, stuff are getting like more of the spotlight, and I think our space continues to mature. So like while like some of it sucks and you see it and like being in the game for a while, you can see it from like far off.
Yep.
But I just like sort of more hopeful. I'm becoming more cautiously optimistic the further we go. The price went down a little while ago, but I really think that long term, we're in this for the right reason. We need to, sort of have not a bear market, but just maybe where numbers don't go up so rapidly or, stay the same, just to like get people to appreciate things a little bit more and sort of realize like why we're here and what we're pushing. And it's not just numbers go up technology.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. A number of beautiful nuggets there that I wanted to highlight. I will say that, like, yeah, we see the selfishness all across the board, and it is pretty wild because what these people don't understand is like, sure, they're helping themselves in the short run, but like you're halting or slowing the progress of the space as a whole. Now, the other thing I wanted to call out for sure is the too soft. I mean, brother, you hit the nail right on the head. I'm giving you, as a project, my money. If I want to ask a couple of questions about where it's going, what are you guys doing with it? What is what are your future plans? Why in the world is that viewed as this like mad term called FUD? Right?
Yeah.
Somebody just grabs onto that and says, "Oh, he's fudding, he's fudding, he's fudding," and then you get booted out of the server, and it's like, dude, I own 6 of your NFTs. I believe in the project, otherwise I wouldn't have put my money in there. Why do I not like warrant the opportunity to just ask questions about the space, man? You really hit it right on the head there.
Yeah, and I think if you like sit in echo chambers, you don't really like question what you're doing. Like if your shit stinks, you should hear it. If like someone has a better idea, you should listen and adopt it. Like if you look at like OpenSea is a good example where like someone's going to catch on just by listening and by like their terrible stolen asset policy just to cover their own ass. I just think that we've been a little weird the past couple of years, which is like definitely understandable. But like
Sure.
like you said, the FUD, it's just like I'm an old dude for the space. I'm 38, so like like I remember like having games and like I'd kill it, and then my dad'd be like, "Why did you walk this guy when you had O2 count?" And I'm like, "Dad, I threw a fucking one hitter," and he'd be like, And it's just like that mentality. I think we need to, without sounding too old, we just need to be able to take criticisms constructively.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with last year, everything just went up. You
Yeah.
know, you didn't have to be smart. You just had to like buy at the right time and get out at the right time. And any idiot could have figured that out if you were just following along. And then now that it's slowed down, it's like that same, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, here's my roadmap, just doesn't work anymore. So you can't get away with the same crap. And I mean, you're just seeing that reflected in floor prices. But yeah, I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah, the copy paste a roadmap, it was like successful in the time when markets were so hot. But now, like, people are like, how many games can I actually play? How many like sweatshirts can I actually buy? How many parties do I really want to go to?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that the space needs to grow and we need to like make it, a healthier ecosystem. That's why we're doing our thing at Love World. But like the ecosystem, back in the day, I think that worked better, even, with all the copy, pasta stuff, was that like artists got a lot of the, like 10% of the pie. And
Right.
then they reinvested in all the stuff. And now I feel like you've cut them out a little bit. And now what we were talking about earlier about, proving your profit streams and proving like how you're doing things, I think, will separate a lot of projects, and going forward, it's not about the art, it's not about the business, it's about both.
Most definitely. Now, one of the things that like seems to be a theme and that you've hit on a couple of times in the show already is growth in the space, growing the space, expanding your reach. I gotta ask you, if you could onboard anybody to Web3, who would it be?
Hmm.
I know that, yeah, sometimes that one can be a little tougher, right?
I
For
know
me,
this
go
might be
ahead.
a cop out answer, but I just think
Sure.
college students is like what I would, say.
Not at
Like,
all what I was expecting, as a matter of fact. So yeah, most people say, "Well, I want to onboard Madonna. I want
yeah,
to," So I think college students. That's a great answer.
because they're cool. They always bring the culture. They know what's coming next. Like if you follow the, what they're eating, what they're using, et cetera, it's the best investment advice you can ever give yourself. So like, I think if we continue to onboard new people who will, continue to use it for the rest of their lives, pass it on, it'll be cool. I think that's like who I would focus on the most.
But see, I thought Solana already did that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Michael High School. I can't, just kidding.
Is there anything that like? Oh, were you going to say something, Hofstra?
No, I was just kidding.
Oh, it was a good joke, by the way.
Hey, people are too soft. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Hey, Hofstra's a funny guy. We've been trying to bring it out of him on the podcast, so you're going to get more nuggets like that. Is there anything that fires you up about the space? Anything you're looking forward to? Something on the horizon that you think is bullish, if nothing else?
In the space, I think the merge, I think, is going to be like an inflection point. I really interested to see how the decrease in issuance and the deflationary element like kicks in. I'm interested to see how it affects NFTs. I'm really fired up about our project. I think, I know this sounds trite sometimes, but
Sure.
building during bear markets is really, really attractive. And I'm just like really excited I've been like, a collector or a flipper for, almost 5 years now. And I'm really excited to get behind the curtains and sort of use like my experience of like what has worked and what hasn't worked and see if we can apply it, and scale it and push this, space forward. I am really bullish on the Gutter Cat Gang for the next couple months.
Okay, here it goes. Yeah.
Gang.
Yeah, gang. I think they're, going to drop their marketplace. I think their token's going to come out from the same team that did Bored Apes. I think that they're going to have a lot of good use cases. I really believe that they're going to be like the sport, like really into sport and streetwear. I think that they're very marketable. I think having cats, dogs, in particular is really smart. And I think they're also at an inflection point where it's like the team's going to deliver a lot and the market's going to like, give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The community is really awesome. I put with Bored Apes, I'd put them 1, 2 in communities. CryptoPunks is a little different. I've had one for a while, still have one, but they're more of like the boomers of the space where they've, been around and know it all and have built everything. And I think the torch was passed to Bored Apes, and I think Gutter Cat Gang has the really good opportunity of sort of becoming like the strong number 3 in the space, like doing things the right way, but sort of having the right reach and the right utility. So that's what I'm really bullish on in the space. I think the floor price at 6 Ethereum thereabouts is obviously a little high for some people, but I think it's going to appreciate tremendously.
Okay, so I got a cat, and it sounds like I need to hold on to that bad boy. I've also got some offers out on rats right now, so anybody... Hold on, let me take this down. I got to take an opportunity to leverage my spotlight here, right? I got some offers out on cats. I got the highest collection offer out there, so I know somebody out there needs that 0.9 Ethereum. Come on, you got a bite. Do it for me. So I had to
Yeah,
take that
yeah,
opportunity right
yeah.
there.
Museums like I own 1% of them.
Yeah. 0.9 may not mean much anymore.
No,
But yeah, to somebody out there, it means something. So
I started a fund, so it's like I own like 5 100%, 5 at 50%, and then 20 at 12.5%. So we jumped in really early and bought about 20 cats and have a little bit more species than that. But yeah, just been really bullish. I think they have like a really solid team. Like I'd put their team in the top 5 in the space without doubt. Um,
wow.
yeah, and I think the community's arguably, two, 3, or 4. So I think the developers have sort of like taken a little bit of time to activate some stuff, but I think it's right around the corner, and I think it's an inflection point. I think it's bullish. It obviously could turn the other way. I'm always like cognizant of all probabilities, but uh, I placed a large bet on them, and I expect it to succeed.
Very nice. Yeah. So, how else, besides collecting, do you engage with Web3? Like, can we catch you out at NFT NYC, Art Basel? Are you going to GutterCon? Those sorts of things?
Yeah. So the first year, last year, where I sort of like went full, immersed myself into Web3 and sort of got behind, I was into the crypto Twitter, space for a long time. But I went to New York City NFT last year. I didn't get to go this year. I went to Art Basel last year. I'm going to GutterCon this year, and I'm going to Art Basel most likely this year. I really, I'm pretty introverted, like in terms of like meeting like big groups of people is not a strong suit of mine. It just like
Sure.
it's like mentally draining. I'd rather hang out in small groups.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't excel at those type of things. I probably like stumble and act like an idiot. But my wife comes, we have a good time, we make the most out of it. I've made a lot of good connections, but it's just not something I'm naturally good at. So I participate, but I only like meet a few people each time. But I plan to continue to go. Um, uh, I'm really excited for GutterCon. I used to go to Vegas a lot, haven't been in a few years. So I'm excited to meet a lot of new people that I haven't met one on one. But yeah, so I like doing a little bit of all. Not too much of one thing, but a little bit of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at going to GetterCon as well with my wife. I thought it would be an awesome opportunity for us. A bit pricey, for us at this moment in our lives. We're newlyweds, so
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. So we're just kind of getting the ball rolling, if you will. But I'll say a year ago when I first got into the space, my wife was like, "Okay, it's cool. Maybe this is just something else that he's doing right now." But here we are again, 12 months later. I'm still in it. As a matter of fact, I've grown my personal brand, if you will. We're doing a web show and things like that now. And now she's starting to I don't know what she thinks, but like, how does your wife feel about this situation, about NFTs as a whole? I mean, does she just kind of let you do your thing? Does she help you maybe choose ones that she likes? Any thoughts there?
My wife is excellent. I definitely don't deserve her. Uh,
None of us do. We never do. No, sir.
yeah, so she really supports me. She understands when I have conviction about things and trusts me to like make decent decisions. Clearly, like if she reviewed our bank accounts, like she wouldn't be like super thrilled of like some of like the large purchases, that have hit the way. But she's really supportive. She thinks like I'm using my time well. It's a creative outlet. Working so hard, conventionally for so long, and she saw like the stress of that. She saws how happy I am now. So I'm really blessed to have her. She comes along to all the events. Um, as in terms of like advice, I'll just show her like, what do you think? What do you like? She's a creative. She does digital online marketing,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, so she understands the space like pretty well without knowing anything about NFTs. But she's been just a great supporter, and I'm very thankful for her.
That's awesome.
Yep, very nice. Um, well, yeah, it's been a great show. I really enjoyed your perspective on everything. It's been great getting to kind of pick your brain. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you've told your story before or not, or how many people on the blockchain really know like who Yap Museum is behind his cat. Well, I know you changed up your profile picture now to Love World, but who you were behind your cat? I'll be honest with you, I certainly had no idea. This is really eye opening, and of course, I follow you, and so I'm gonna make sure that I stay in touch because you seem like a great individual to bounce ideas off of. Everybody listening, that doesn't mean you can go bounce ideas off of him as well, because if everybody's shooting him DMs asking business sort of questions, that means he won't respond to mine. So y'all stay out of that. But before we go, is there anything that like we should have asked you about that we didn't? Do you have any final thoughts? Anything like that?
Not off the top of my head. I just appreciate the time with you guys. This was a good chat. Sorry for rambling way too much.
No.
Hopefully next time, it can be more of like a back and forth, rather than like me just going on and on. But
No, it's all good, man. You're the guest.
Yeah, in my opinion, it makes our job easier. The more that you talk, the less that we have to, and so yeah, it definitely makes our job easier. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, like you said, next time I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be my next question. Maybe a month from now, after Love World's minted and that sort of thing, you can kind of like update us and orient us around that project, what's going on there, and we'd love to give you that time as well.
right on. That'd be excellent. I'd love to come back, and I really appreciate you guys having me. This is a cool show, and I plan to check it out, as much as I can.
Outstanding. Hofstra, you got any thoughts?
No, I don't. Just thanks again for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I'm a little bit taken back. 50 bored apes and
Yeah, goodness.
what was it, $300 in gas for 5 punks or something like that?
$100 in gas. Yeah.
I'm like, I look at that and I was like, dude, the problem with me is like I was early. I was there when bored apes were minting. I just didn't know how to connect my damn wallet. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't like a lot of Twitter spaces, and I didn't really know what Clubhouse was. So like trying to figure out how to navigate crypto from YouTube was like learning Chinese. Like for somebody that had no knowledge of it whatsoever, just understanding what blockchain was and how to work. So I'm like, man, I hear these stories and I'm like, shit. Me and you are like almost the same age. I'm like, I guess I wasn't in the right place at the right time, but those stories are freaking awesome. I love hearing that.
Wait,
Yeah,
so you don't speak Chinese?
Not yet.
Um,
Blockchain. I speak blockchain pretty
Great.
fluently.
yeah,
Well,
it's
yes,
good.
sir. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just saying it's good to be lucky. And one of the things I've always lived by is my best investments are stuff that I don't understand. So I'm always willing to like jump in and like figure out, how to use MetaMask, like how to DeFi farm, what is this, what is that. It is a lot of trial by error. I made a lot of mistakes, lost a decent amount of crypto doing stupid things. But just being willing to jump in is something I've always been able to do. I always live life on the edge a little bit. But that's the only advice I'd give to maybe someone listening is like don't be afraid to learn.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, I really needed that advice sometimes. Even just starting a show like this, right? There's a number of things that provide hesitations. You can think of any excuse in the book to not do it. It's a matter of fact of just jumping in, like you said. So, yeah, really appreciate your time today. It's been a great show. Like I said, taken back, I had no idea about who the man behind the cat was, or the man behind the Love World NFT now was. Really great to hear your story. I feel like at the end of this, you're not just a podcast guest, you're one of our friends. And so, it's great to be able to meet with you and that sort of thing. To all of everybody in the audience, if you enjoyed this type of content, remember the number one thing that you can do to support us is tell about the show. The number two thing that you can do is go ahead and hit that like, comment, and subscribe button right there, especially that subscribe button on YouTube. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and it starts with you listening right now. So, this Sunday, we've got a great show lined up with Soul Street Finance. Make sure you check out our Twitter. We'll be announcing that. They just minted and that sort of thing. So we're really pumped to hear their project and talk about their story. Until next time, we have the legend in the space, Yap Museum, Hofstra. I'm Sticky Finger Jones. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see y'all on Sunday. So,
Peace.
peace.